Hello and welcome to my shop, such as it is. A little bit of a different video. It's a reflection. This is a reflection video. I tried to do a thing and it ended up being an unmitigated clusterfuck. Um, I wanted to build a cart for my scroll saw, but I didn't want to just throw plywood together. I wanted to do something a little more interesting, a little more clever. And it being too clever by half, I think. I wanted to build a top and a bottom and kind of have the base flare out. And well, like I said, it ended up going wrong. Part well, I want to think about what went wrong. Um, I was trying to make because I wanted the base to be wider than the top, so I figured I would make you know, a pillar kind of thing, with mortise and tenons to hold it all together. Sorry, I just bumped the thing there. So part of why I think things went wrong is I was there's two big things. One is the sawing, one is the material choice. Um, I wanted to do something a little more clever, but I figured this is just a shop thing, so I'm not going to spend a ton of money on wood, so I went with pine, just regular old soft pine. Um, and man, it just did not want to do the things I was trying to get it to do. I was like, I'd try sawing and bits would break off. I tried doing there I go bumping the thing. I tried doing the mortises and it was just crumbling while I was trying to do it. It just wouldn't take its thing. Um, Bits were shearing off while I was trying to chisel it away. And I think it's just I was trying to do something with an inappropriate material, I think, in this case. Um, I think to do this kind of a form, this kind of a shape, you need to use a hardwood. I don't. Maybe you can do this with pine. I can't do this with pine, which actually impacts another project I've been starting to work on. I want to make a high-seated chair so I can sit at the workbench and be at a good working level. And I was thinking of doing something clever, very similar to this with that. And I was going to also build that out of pine because it's just a shop thing. There's no point in spending a ton of money on it for expensive hardwoods. But now that I've done this, I have to completely rethink that. I either have to go with a much simpler form or spend the money on a hardwood. And to be honest, I'm probably just going to go with a much simpler form to get that accomplished. The other thing was trying to saw these shapes out. This looks better than the initial because I planed and sanded it to get kind of a consistent edge to it, a reasonably consistent edge to it. But either I need to get better with a jigsaw, and I need to understand jigsaws better. Because trying to cut these, the thing about a jigsaw is you get that blade protruding down the bottom, which makes it an exceptionally safe saw to use relative to something like a table saw. But it also means you've got to have that gap under it at all times to do your cutting. And that impacts what you can do with the tool and how you can use it. And I need to understand that better to be able to use that tool better. Or I need to get a bandsaw. I think this would have been a better cut on a bandsaw than it was with a jigsaw. And a bandsaw is definitely one of those things that's on my list to do. I also got a better understanding of how knots impact a piece of pine. These things split and shatter very easily. They're so much harder than the rest of the wood. It's not even about appearance. Like, you can even see this one's like the big gap there where it's already splitting out all on its own. And turns out I can just push it out with my finger. That's how weakly held that was. So that goes down to materials understanding. When this completely collapsed on me last night, when this went completely off the rails, I was just having a real feeling of frustration and like, I'm never going to do this, and what am I thinking, and I'm never going to get any better at this, and I'm so fucking clumsy, and what's the point? And that's kind of a tough thing you've got to push through. As much as I've had successes, I've had some failure, and you have to use both of those. You have to have both of those to be able to grow and learn. My hand plane is another one. I've gotten it working fairly well, but I honestly, I was trying to get the chip breaker to fit better, but it just was cheaply cast, and that plane may just be restricted to softer woods. I think it does fine on something like pine or poplar, but it's struggling with walnut. I think if I want to use a hand plane for hardwoods like that, I'm just gonna have to get a better one, plain and simple, or get like a vintage one and restore it maybe. Although I think stepping up to one that's $100 or more to buy would probably be the better way to go. Anyway, that's my reflection video. Just feeling really frustrated and feeling like the next project I have is not going to work out. I'm working on a chessboard, not just a chessboard, a chess set, which I have in my mind is a beautiful looking thing when I get it finished. We'll see how that works out. Anyway, I'm not sure what the next project you're going to see is, but when we get there, we get there. See you in the next one.